What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Blazers Uprise. Wait, this should be the right mic. Okay, I think this is better. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise postgame show presented by Sleeper. I'm happy to be back off of vacation. I had to reset up everything. So hopefully we're ready to go here with a postgame show after the Blazers lose, and this is maybe the most satisfying loss of the season as they fight hard against the now 20-1 OKC Thunder. 20-1. The Blazers looked like at points in this game they might give the Thunder their second loss of the season. Of course, their only loss in this season has been to your Portland Trail Blazers. The Blazers can't hand them their second loss of the season as they fall short 123-115. The Thunder score multiple clutch buckets down the stretch. That's what they do, but it was AJ Mitchell hitting a couple clutch shots, SGA doing his thing, hitting some middies. Jalen Williams is back. He had a clutch bucket in this one. And you saw the Thunder deny Deni Avdija down the stretch as he was masterful today with a 31-point triple-double, 31 points, 19 boards, and 10 assists for Deni. 23 free throw attempts. We're going to talk about him versus SGA and all the free throw attempts because this was a interesting game between those two, but we're gonna have fun breaking down this game. I'm happy to be back with you guys. Thank you to Eric for holding down the fort. Eric, how are you doing, man?
Oh, fine. Got a Niners win this morning, but unfortunately the Blazers couldn't match it.
Yeah, unfortunately they couldn't. But I have this question for you, and I'll extend this to chat. Is this the best loss of the season? Is this the most satisfying loss? The Blazers not having Donovan Clingan in this game, Shaedon Sharpe on a minutes restriction. Of course, they're missing basically every point guard on their roster. They start Sidi Sissoko and Chris Murray together. No big man in the starting lineup. And they almost get the win. So is this the most satisfying or the best loss of the season?
I don't know. I mean, sure. I mean, you didn't get blown out by OKC. It was pretty much at full strength minus Hartenstein. So yeah, it's fine. But this season, I said it all off season and during the season so far, there's no moral victories this year. We're not going to count close losses as good moral victories or anything like that, in my opinion. So yes, probably the best loss on paper, but I don't like looking at it like that.
I think you can be happy with the way the team played in a loss, and that's kind of where I'm at after this one. I'm happy, especially with some of the defensive efforts. Now, OKC had 38 in the fourth quarter. I thought the Blazers kind of wore down, and they started making some shots, and there's also maybe some hittable shots that they missed in this game. They shot 34% from three, but I do think there were some really impressive defensive possessions in this one, and I thought Tamani looked better defensively today. He did a decent job when he was on SGA down until the end, and then SGA threw a couple forearms into him and got some mid-range buckets, and at some point SGA is going to do that. But holding SGA to 26 points, that's below his season average. Didn't feel like he had as impactful of a game as SGA normally has. Tamani did get scored on multiple times in a row down the stretch there, but I didn't think any of those plays were particularly bad defense. I thought it was good offense, and that's the difference is the OKC Thunder have guys that you can throw the ball to and they can get the job done. If it's not SGA, it's Jalen Williams, and if it's not him, it can be a guy like AJ Mitchell who steps up, where Portland just doesn't really have that guy outside of Deni Avdija right now. Jeremy Grant had some big moments in this game, but finishes 7 for 18. Not the most efficient game. Shaedon Sharpe off the bench, only takes 7 shots in 22 minutes. He's definitely not 100%. I mean, who else is going to really create shots for you if it's not Deni Avdija, was basically the story of this game for the Blazers. So I was happy, especially since the defense has been really, really bad. I thought it was a bit better today than it had been recently. So I was happy about that. Would have been happy with the win, though. Would have been a great win after the letdown that was last game. And they were super, super, super close, but just couldn't make the plays down the stretch. And that's kind of the difference in this game.
Yeah, well, the stretch at the beginning of the fourth quarter killed us. Thunder going an 8-0 run, and two of those baskets were easy dunks because they had someone leak out and no one got back on defense. We had a couple of missed threes by Jeremy Grant that bounced long and allowed them to pass ahead. And then I think Sharp had a turnover in there, and it's just all of a sudden you're down and fighting to keep in the game. And they did a good job of staying within reach and making this game close enough to where, it came down to some clutch possessions. But ultimately, I think that little stretch where they just failed to get back on defense, and that just shows how you have to play for 48 minutes and you can't let up at all, especially when you're this where there's this much of an advantage for another team in terms of talent on the floor, and just you're playing a much better team. You can't give them just a couple easy baskets like that, or else you're gonna probably find yourself on the losing end. So I thought that stretch was what cost them the game. Offensively, I felt like, especially in the first quarter, we only scored 19 points. There were numerous drives where especially Deni would drive and kick out to a shooter, and it was City Sissoko or Chris Murray or someone who sometimes they would shoot and miss, and sometimes they would just pass up an open shot and drive, and then we would lose the advantage that Deni created. And I felt like in that first quarter, it was just like a magnification of what is plaguing this team and what could be an elite kind of player in Deni, who's already playing at an elite level. Don't get me wrong. But like, just imagine if he had guys who could hit those shots on those kickouts. And I think in terms of offensively, I felt like most of this game, now Chris Murray ends up hitting a couple threes in the second half, and I think Sissoko hit one too. But overall, you can't rely on those guys to consistently hit kickout shots. And so this is still the theme of the Blazers, is we probably win some of these games, if we have legit shooting presence out there to where we're spacing the floor and Deni's making these awesome passes on kickouts and we have players making them.
Yeah, absolutely. Potential assists are always interesting with Deni just because he creates so many open shots for so many players. And Sissoko and Murray, they go 3 for 8, so that's 38% from 3. But those guys aren't threats. It's not a situation where defenses are picking their poison and having to decide between, do we load up on Deni Avdija or do we guard the City Sissoko and Chris Murray on the 3-point line? Like, all those threes are basically completely wide open. That one was in transition from Chris Murray. That one surprised me a bit that he hit. That was a clutch 3 to cut it to 2. So, like, they were still in this game down 2 with a couple minutes left. Very winnable game in the final minutes. They just didn't get the guys to make shots. But it's not a situation where, if there was Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins out there next to Deni, that's what I was thinking about watching this game. Is like, man, if Deni just had those two guys, they're just role players, but they contribute to the best defense in the league, and they knock down shots consistently, and they step up when they need to, and they're super, super reliable. And I was just wondering, like, man, if you had Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins out there on the wings, like, defenses are having to think, okay, do I help onto Deni and give up a wide open 3 to Isaiah Joe or Aaron Wiggins, or do I stay out on the perimeter? And then Deni has been masterful as a driver this season. And I think that entire point goes into just how good Deni Avdija has been, to the point where he's playing against the best defense in the league. Okay, this is the best defense in the entire league. They were loading up on him in a way that I haven't seen a Blazer get loaded up on since Damian Lillard. Sending 2 guys, Lou Dort picking him up full court and denying him, and the Blazers don't run a screen for him. They just kind of give the ball to whoever and don't really seem to have a plan for getting Deni involved when he was getting denied there down the stretch. So that was kind of frustrating. But he's getting guarded like a true superstar from the best defense in the league. He didn't really have his shots falling early on in this game. And then you look at the stat line at the end of this game, he's a +4 The Blazers lost by 8. In 37 minutes, he was a +4, meaning the 11 minutes he was off the floor, including the start of the fourth quarter, that stretch that you just talked about. The 11 minutes he was off the floor, the Blazers got outscored by 12 points. Honestly, that's not terrible considering the lineups that were out there without Deni Avdija on the floor. Probably better than normal, yeah. Yeah, but the Blazers outscored the Thunder with Deni Avdija on the floor today. And he finishes with 31 points, 19 boards, and 10 assists, and only 1 turnover. Against that type of defense, the best defensive team in the league. Now, he got to the line 23 times, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to crumple at the first gust of wind, you know? It wasn't some of the SGA flop and stuff that SGA pulled in this game. Deni leads the league in drives per game, and he drives hard as hell at defensive players, and it gets him to the free throw line. Like, it wasn't, oh, there's barely contact and he's falling to the floor. No, it's I'm going to drive as hard as I can at you over and over and over again, and you're going to have to figure out how to defend me without fouling. And yeah, maybe there's a couple favorable calls there, but when you constantly drive, and I wonder how many times he drove today, but then he leads the league in drives, and he's a physical player, that's going to lead to some games where he's just able to get to the line, especially against a physical defense where, you know, the Thunder are pretty physical. And when you got somebody like Deni Avdija driving the ball at you, sometimes it's you can't really play physical. Sometimes you have to give up a little ground and meet him at the rim, cut him off. You can't match his physicality because you're going to get called for fouls. And that's what happened in this game. So he got to the line like a freaking superstar today. He finishes 6 for 14. He couldn't buy a 3. It was 0 for 4, but was 6 for 10 inside the arc. 10 assists, only 1 turnover, and he probably could have had 15 assists if he had an Isaiah Joe and an Aaron Wiggins next to him. So this is another one of these games where Deni Avdija is playing like, I thought, a superstar in this game. 31 points on 14 field goal attempts is crazy. Where Deni Avdija is playing like a all-star or a superstar, and the rest of the Blazers don't really have the shooting. Although in this game, you know, take out Denny's 0 for 4, they probably shot 36-37%. So that was good, but it wasn't the level of shooting needed around Deni to make defenses have to think about guarding him. And the book has been out on Deni so far that, you know, he's playing great basketball. He's going to drive a lot, and defenses are game planning for that and loading up on him and not really respecting these shooters, even in games where the other guys did make some threes. You know, Tamani was 5 for 10. Jeremy was 4 for 11. Chris Murray was 2 for 4, right? But it's not enough of a consistent threat when you look at this roster. You see a bunch of guys that are shooting under 30%, and you see a guy like Deni who's playing amazing basketball. The calculation is pretty simple. You slow down Deni Avdija and you try your best to contain him because you can live with Sidi Sissoko or Chris Murray making threes. And there's just been so many games like this that point to that issue that the Blazers need to figure out going forward. How can we get more shooting around Deni Avdija? How can we space the floor better for Deni Avdija? Because if he can do this against the best defense in the league that is completely loading up on him without much space, just imagine if he did have proper spacing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see Kyle Neely complaining about his free throw percentage. He was 19 of 23, 82.6%.
Yeah.
And he says he misses Dame free throws. But okay, Denny's a forward. Like he's more of a big than a guard, even though he handles the ball and has a high usage rate. So I don't know. I mean, yes, it would be great if he made every free throw, but 82.6% on 23 attempts is fine. Like there's nothing to complain about. Yes, he missed a couple in the fourth quarter, but I mean that once again, 19 to 23. It's I don't know what.
Yeah,
it's weird, man.
And I will say that whole attitude, they get paid millions, make them. Dude, you think they're not trying to make them? Like I hate that argument. I hate that argument. He shoots 82% from the free throw line. Even the best free throw shooter ever is like what, low 90s? They're not going to make every free throw. If they could make every free throw, they would just simply decide to make every free throw, but it's not that simple. So, yeah, it's kind of a ridiculous argument, and especially there down the stretch. Like he's had the tendency to miss a little bit more in fourth quarters, but when you drive more than any other player in the league into traffic constantly all game long, and you're playing at 100 miles an hour at 6'9", like that takes its toll on you. So I can understand that at the end of games, he's completely worn down because he plays hard as hell and is trying to literally carry this team against a OKC Thunder team that was 19-1 coming into this game, and he had them in this game with Sidi Sissoko and Chris Murray in the starting lineup. Some other guys play well, like Tamani. Nice to see him get going from 3 and also had 4 assists. Like, this was a solid Tamani game on both ends, which is nice after some of his struggles recently. But it's really just Deni making everything go right now. So, yeah, we can sit here and nitpick. I guess he only had 1 turnover, so we can't nitpick that. So I guess we're nitpicking 4 missed free throws out of 23 attempts.
Yep. The 1 turnover, I think, was the one where he threw it over his head. He got fouled and thought he was going to get a call and just kind of threw it over his head. And for some reason, the refs didn't call that one. So he probably should have had 0 turnovers in this one. And, so of all the OKC fans, I guess, were complaining online about how Deni was being treated, which is ironic. But I just ironic. Yeah,
because he didn't get those 23 free throws like flopping all over the place.
No,
he just drives hard as hell, and they play physical and they foul him. Like, I thought all the calls were pretty damn legit. Maybe there's a couple ticky tack ones that you want to let go. But it's not like he's barely getting brushed and he's throwing himself to the floor like I saw SGA do multiple times in this game.
It's the rip through at full speed, I guess people have a problem with, but those are fouls. Like, you reach in and he sweeps his arms through, that's a foul. So I don't see.
That's also a scoring does the
same thing.
That's also right. Like that rip through. I understand if you're doing a rip through just to try and get an arm caught up and it's not a move to score. But how many times do we see Deni kill the ball low, rip through, doesn't get fouled, but it's a good move and he gets to the rim and he scores off of it? Like, it's a legitimate scoring move. And yeah, maybe he's searching for that arm contact a little bit, but he's not just playing to only get fouled. He's attacking to score. Like, that's the difference for me with a guy like SGA at times. And I mean, he's a phenomenal player, but he definitely foul hunts. And there's plays where he's just looking for the foul. He's not trying to score. He's just throwing himself to the floor and chucking the ball at the rim at the slightest bit of contact. I mean, the play against Chris Murray, that was a foul, was freaking ridiculous. Deni drives.
Was that the one where he just like kind of falls over?
Yeah, like Deni, like Chris is trailing him, and then SGA slows up, so Chris stops, and SGA like kind of like bumps back into him, and then flails himself to the floor. Like, there's just a difference, and everybody would just look at the free throw attempts and be like, "Oh my goodness, 23 free throw attempts, man!" But this dude drives more than any player in the game. He drives hard as hell, and he drives to score.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with it. Obviously, maybe we're a bit biased from the way we're looking at it, but like you mentioned, it's Denny's taking the action to the other team, and he didn't get called for a charge in this game, so it's not like there was like questionable block charge calls on him. You know, it was in my mind he drew every one of those fouls, and so just. Obviously, an awesome game from Deni. Would have been awesome to see it in a win. I guess that's the only bummer about when you see his stat line from this game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to have the discussion on the stream is like, okay, we're 20 games in. All right. Well, where do we rank in certain stats? But then how do we build moving forward? I always view the 20th game mark as a good enough sample where you can start viewing things long-term based on the 20 games that you have so far this season. So
it's only 19 for Splitter, though.
Yeah, it's only 19 for Splitter, so we'll give Splitter another break. We'll give him another break. But, yeah, we're going to have, like, long-term conversation. Maybe we'll lead up to the trade deadline, which we still have a lot to learn before the trade deadline, but I do want to have a more long-term focus, especially with Deni playing like this. It's just like, how do we build upon having a legitimate star? Like, he's a top 20 player in my mind, and I've always talked about how it's really hard to get a true all-star. Okay, it's really hard to find that guy. It's easier to find good role players that can do multiple things than it is to find a true legitimate star. And at this point, 20 games in, I am comfortable in saying that Deni Avdija is a true legitimate star. I said 10 games in that I think everything he's doing is completely sustainable, and he's continued to sustain it. And in a game like this, he has an impact as a scorer. He has an impact as a playmaker and a passer. He's started throwing Luka passes. That over the shoulder, like no look to Jeremy Grant reminded me of stuff that Luka does. So he's just on another level. All right, I'm not saying he's on a Luka level, but that was a Luka pass. Like he's starting to get creative with his playmaking, and it's working, and just everything's clicking for him right now. So I think the conversation about how do we get a single star, like we can move on from that conversation. We've been having that conversation for years. I think Deni Avdija is a true star. And maybe they have 2 true stars if Damian Lillard next season can return to form, right? So it's going to be a different conversation moving forward because you got those pieces. Now it's like we always thought, oh, we have really good role players, and now we're starting to question the role players with we don't have enough shooting. Some guys can't stay healthy. So second hour of this stream, we're going to take a look at the future, and I think some of the questions facing this team are different than questions going into the year or questions from last year. So I think that's interesting.
We can add the DeRozan rumor to that conversation.
Okay, let's have a 20-second conversation. A guy that can't play defense or knock down threes when spacing's a problem, and we have Deni, and he's a terrible fit with like why would we want DeMar DeRozan? And he's aging and declining. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, so you saw that report.
Yeah, but did you see like a bunch of teams that got tossed out there? Doesn't seem legit.
Well, we got included because do you know who DeRozan's agent is?
Oh, who's that?
One Aaron Goodwin.
Oh.
You know who that is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's Dame's agent, of course. It's probably that rumor is probably coming from him. We know Dame and him are good friends and share the same agent. But yeah, let's build this philosophy of 3-pointers and rim shots, and then scrap all that to add like the worst possible fit in a rim shot and 3-point offense where you don't want to shoot mid-rangers. Like it makes zero sense on paper, but
you could get collab cammed. That's what he was about to say. I could get collab cammed.
Oh man.
Okay. You could what?
Something about this particular thing, even though it makes zero sense at all. Like I could definitely see them justify it being similar age to Dame and Drew and all that and just kind of like, oh, we're in the process of adding talent and we didn't have to give up a lot to get him. I could definitely see them doing it, even though it makes no sense. But like, I really hope that's not the case unless they got him for like very little, but his contract is going to be tough to match without giving up something of value. So it's just a weird situation.
He would fit if the Blazers defense was actually playing elite on that side of the floor and they had good shooting and they needed more shot creation. Mm-hmm. Their defense has not been playing that good. They don't have enough 3-point shooting and they probably need a little bit of shot creation, but when healthy, especially next year, you got Dame, you got Drew, you got Scoot, you got Sharp, you got Deni, you got Jeremy. Like, that's the one thing you would have next season is enough shot creation. You need shooters around those guys. You need defensive pieces if your defense isn't going to play better than it's played this season. DeMar DeRozan is none of those things. He's not a good fit. He's just name recognition. He's name value. And he's probably going to be even worse next year, you know? His scoring's taking a little bit of a dip. I just don't understand why people would want him beyond just, oh, he's a big name. He's a name I recognize. He used to be a star. So we don't need to play that game. Also, let's have a quick Yong Hansen conversation before we look at the team stats, get into more players, and start talking long term. So there's a question that I do want to answer from chat. It was from your guy Kyle. Said, "Are you guys okay not playing Yong, or do you think we should be letting him play and get used to the pace of the league?" I would say if we were like 2-19. You know, if we were 4-16, then I would have a problem with him not playing. But he is so not ready. He is multiple years away from being able to impact basketball games positively on the NBA level. I had a tweet today. I said he's 2 years away from being 2 years away. That's really how I feel about it, man. Like, there's just so many instances where he does not look like an NBA player, especially defensively. He is so far away from being able to hold his own defensively. He gets subbed in and they immediately have to go zone because he can't guard Chet Holmgren. He can't guard on the perimeter. Like, shoot, honestly, I wouldn't want him guarding Isaiah Hartenstein on the perimeter. And then, he airballs a little layup where he could have just went straight up with a little sky hook. Instead, he tried to kind of like scoop the ball, sidearm the ball, which made no sense to me. He airballs a three. Like, he probably could have gotten called for multiple 3 seconds in the paint if they wanted to call that. He played 4 minutes today. He was 0 for 3. I mean, they were a +3 with him in the game somehow, but it's they have to go zone when he's in there. Like, he's not ready to defend pick and rolls. He's gonna. I don't know. I have questions about him. I said he's a project coming in, Eric, but he looks so far away defensively, and there's so much ground to make up that I'm a little bit wary about if he can actually make up the ground he needs to in certain areas, because he does have some raw talent. It just hasn't looked like it's close to translating yet, and some of the issues are legitimate issues.
Well, too, he's going to have to do it all with his IQ, because his athleticism is not going to help him get there. So it's just basically being a massive human being and hopefully making smart positional reads and things like that. But I don't think you're going to be able to rely on him as being like some athletic rim protector. Yeah, so the problem is, well, one, OKC is a terrible matchup for him. If we're playing a team with a more traditional big with Klingen out, I guess you probably could have gotten away with it a little bit more. So that's a little different. But in the past, we draft Scoot, we draft Sharp, we draft these guys, even like the Rupert versus Matisse Thybulle minutes from a couple of years ago when Rupert was a rookie. When we're bad, like you mentioned, I'm all for giving those minutes to developmental minutes. In this situation, I don't think it helps Yong Hansen to get on the court. I just feel like he's so far away. It's so I don't feel like it's doing good for his development. Yes, I feel like he does need some minutes to develop. I also don't know if the G League is like good for him either. It's just, this is the problem when you pick someone who's not ready to contribute, even though they swore he was. It'll come down to whether or not he can develop in a couple of years. But in terms of trying to develop him now on this team in this current situation, I don't get how people want to just like basically lose games to play this guy when, I mean, it's not even close to 50%. Like, if he become a good enough player to make those minutes, or forcing him those minutes worth it. Yeah. It's tough when then you see that they could have drafted someone that made it a little bit easier to win games this year and also be young enough to still help them for years. So it's very frustrating, but unfortunately. So when we talk back about DeRozan again, or a player of that caliber, if we try to make a trade for him right now, the only way to match his salary without giving up a key piece is basically Robert Williams and Thybulle. Yeah. And we can't trade Robert Williams right now if he's healthy, because like, what are we supposed to do at backup center? So like, we need him. Backup center, we cannot play Young those minutes. So like, I feel like this is not the time to be like, oh, we need to force minutes to Young. I know they tried to start the season out that way. That was their game plan, to give him, 5 minutes a game in the first half and try to see if they could speed that up a little bit. That failed, I think, pretty bad. And I don't think until, because if this is like a communication thing, if it's still like learning the culture and just like adapting to a new situation and all that stuff, he can do all that without playing in these games. So if that's what's kind of holding him back from taking any step or doing that, I don't necessarily think forcing him minutes, if that's the issue, is necessarily good for him. Yeah. Now, like I said, don't get me wrong. I mean, the more minutes he can get on the floor, the better it will be for him. But I don't think that this is a situation where, like we talked about with Scoot, like if he plays 30 minutes a game, how much further is he along than when he's playing 20 minutes a game? I don't think it's that big of a difference as compared to like a lot of players that we've talked about over the years.
So there's a comment. 3 to 4 minutes, though, that's a rough amount to get any real rhythm going. He did get a rhythm going. A negative rhythm. Like, he got scored on by Chet Holmgren. He jumped at a pump fake and fouled. Easiest foul baiting of the game. And there was a lot of that from SGA and company, right? But so he fouls. He gets scored on. He airballs a 3. He airballs a layup. He's not good enough to, like, build a rhythm at the NBA level. He's not good enough right now. Here's the thing, man. He's supposed to be a stretch 5, and everybody's talking about, oh, we got a 7'2" guy that can shoot and pass and put the ball on the floor. He shot 27% from 3 in the CBA last year. And then in the NBA, he's 1 for 14 from 3. That's like 6%. From 3. Like, he's nowhere close to being a viable three-point shooter at the NBA level. But, because he made some threes in the CBA and, like, his form looks fine, he can come in and shoot. But I was the one there sitting there like, okay, everybody's watching highlights, but just look at the numbers. He was 27% last year from 3. Mm-hmm. He has a ton of ground to make up just to become a viable three-point shooter, right? The low post stuff, like, teams don't play through the low post like that. He has to be really, really, really good in the low post in order to demand being a part of the offense like that. So, and he has some moments, but his post game is a lot of like, I'm going to take 6 dribbles to back you down and then score. The NBA moves faster than that. So there's just a lot of stuff that I'm not really seeing for him to, like, deserve any sort of opportunity right now. I agree with you. I do not think it would be good for him to be playing NBA minutes. I think he should be down in the G League. I do think the G League could be good with him. But there is so much skill development in terms of the three-point shot, in terms of making quicker decisions in the low post, in terms of learning what passes he can get away with at the NBA level, because he had no idea. And then the defense is going to be a huge learning curve. So I don't think playing him 10 minutes would allow him to get an offensive rhythm. Sure, there might be a game or two where he can do a couple things offensively. He might randomly make a 3 and might have a couple good low post possessions. Then everybody will be, saying, see, I told you he could play at the NBA level. The kid has talent, but the kid needs a lot of time and a lot of work. And people are going to have to be patient with him. And the Blazers are going to have to be patient with him because there's just no way that he can play in an NBA game consistently and help this team.
Dude, so the 3 to 4 minute thing, Kyle says he's trying to do too much because he knows his minutes are limited. At one point, do you realize he's just not good enough? Like, it's not because he's limited in his minutes. It's because he is not good enough yet. And so we're not saying that the pick is doomed or whatever. It's already a bust or anything like that. It's still, he's got many years to figure that out. But right now, he can't play 3 to 4 minutes because he's not an NBA player. It's just that simple, I think. I don't want to make excuses for it.
Yeah, so you say he's trying to do too much. Is him shooting 14 threes this year him trying to do too much? Because I think all of them were pretty much wide open. So he shouldn't shoot wide open threes because he's not ready to shoot threes? Like, I don't really understand where you're going with that argument. because the point is he's supposed to be a guy, knocks down threes. That was what was sold to us, right? He's just not a good 3-point shooter. And okay, he tries to score in the low post. He's supposed to be a guy that one day can do that. So he's trying to do. He's literally playing to his archetype. He's playing to the idea of what he is. He's just not good enough at those things to fulfill that in a positive way. And also, I'll say this. If you know you're barely going to play and you come in play 3 or 4 minutes, you should not be trying to do too much. You should just be trying to not screw up, right? You should just be trying to get the rebounds that are in your area, box your guy out, do the little things, set good screens. He did set a couple good screens this game. I'll give him that. Take the right shots when they're available, but not force it. That's how you get more opportunities. If you're given 3-4 minutes and okay, those minutes he didn't really make any mistakes, and the team was okay. All right, now I trust him to get 6, 7, 8 minutes maybe. We'll see what he does then. But at the end of the day, even if he gets more minutes, he's not a good enough 3-point shooter, but he's going to shoot threes, so he's going to miss threes. And then defensively, he has so much learning to do. That's not going to get any better because he's playing more. So that's going to be rough, and teams are going to target him, so the Blazers have to go zone. So if a team figures out the zone, then what do you do defensively? That's just the issue with Yong right now. But this was going to be the case. I told you guys, he's not ready. He got hyped up as a guy that was ready to come in and play minutes. I never bought that hype. Truthfully, I feel very confident that the Blazers made a mistake in not drafting Cedric Howard at 11. I felt very confidently the moment that happened. I like the trade down in terms of getting an unprotected 2028 pick. Maybe that pick can be good, but it's Orlando. It probably won't be. So I truthfully feel very confident that that's going to be looked at as a mistake going forward. And I hope that I'm wrong, and I hope that people can come in the chat in 5 years and say, oh, Yong is better than Alperen Şengün. Tori, you were wrong. Cedric Howard is just a role player. I would love for people to be able to come into the chat and say that to me in 5 years. Truthfully, I don't really feel that way, but the bottom line is you're going to have to be patient with him. He's not NBA ready. He's going to need multiple years of development, and we shouldn't expect him to come in and wow us in an NBA game all the time. We shouldn't expect him to play 10 to 12 minutes for a team trying to win games, even with Donovan clinging out.
Yep.
So
that's I don't want to keep harping on the Coward thing, I guess, but I mean we're a 500 team if we have Coward so far, at least. Yeah. Yep.
He's the Isaiah Joe, Andrew, or Aaron Wiggins type of shooter we need, and then he plays defense and play makes a bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean he's literally perfect for this team, and I was saying that before the draft. And the Blazers got hyper fixated on Yong Hansen that they couldn't see how perfect Cedric Howard was for them.
And also, the thing with Yong coming in and shooting a lot, I mean, maybe he's watching his bench mate Caleb Love come in and shoot 12 times in 19 minutes, which seems low for him. And so maybe he thinks that's how he's supposed to do it, right? Because that dude just comes in and chucks shots up. And so maybe he's like, oh, I'm supposed to come off the bench and just shoot every time I touch the ball, right?
You know what's funny is I question picking up Caleb Love and all the people that were hyping him up in Summer League, and then I question the Yong Hansen pick, and I got a lot of hate for it, but I feel like what I've said is exactly how things have played out. Caleb Love, every once in a while, will have a game like he does against Golden State where he might win you a game, and that'll be fun, and that'll be awesome. And then 80% of the time, he will make you want to pull your hair out because he's having games like tonight where he is 4 for 12 in 19 minutes and 2 for 8 from 3. He's not a good shooter. But listen, I bet you his highlight tape this year looks pretty decent, but that's the problem is you can't just evaluate rookies coming into the league just off their highlights. You got to watch them play. You got to watch full games to see the good and the bad, because if there's a lot more bad than good, guess what? You're not seeing that bad stuff on the highlights. You're only seeing the highlights. So that's the experience with Caleb Love right now. We'll get these two out of the way, then we'll look at team stats. We'll talk about more players, etc. He had 12 points in 19 minutes, man, but he's 4 for 12. Like, he's just not efficient. He uses a lot of offensive possessions. I mean, if he's playing 18 minutes a game, is he shooting, or if he's playing like starter minutes, like 34, 35 minutes a game, is he shooting at least 20 field goals per game at a 30% clip from the field?
Is. Yeah. I think he for sure is.
Well, I'll check the per 36.
Well, I think see, it's a little weird because our roster is set up to where maybe Love has to take some of those shots, but it does seem like he's shooting some that he shouldn't be shooting. And this is what you were talking about with Hansen, is just coming in and doing the little things and not really worrying about trying to score points, like worry about your defense and your rebounding and things like that first. Setting up the offense. In Caleb Love's case, since we don't really have a true point guard right now, you should be, trying to set up the offense versus hunting shots. I did think Love had a couple of good defensive moments in this game.
I want to talk about one of those specifically. He made it was the fifth rotation the Blazers made where he came over and got that steal or block or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Where he helped over and defended a lane. That was like the Blazers made 5 timely good rotations. And I was like, where has this been? Look at this team rotate against ball movement. And then Caleb Love gets a stop at the rim. Like, that play excited the hell out of me. And then you know what happened on the offensive possession right after that?
Did he shoot a 3?
He missed a 3.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably one of their best defensive rotations of the season. But, yeah, so I do think he's trying to do some things. It's just he's a shot checker. That's what he is, and that's what he's going to always be. Like, we know who he is. And so yeah, unfortunately, if he shoots well tonight, maybe we win this game. But he's gonna shoot you out of a lot of games too.
Well, here's the thing: his play style is actually kind of what the Blazers need off the bench. Mm-hmm. If he made enough of his shots,
right?
Like, the biggest problem is he just doesn't make enough shots. I can live with a couple bad shot attempts if a guy's efficient and providing efficient offense for a team that needs efficient offense. But the problem is his offense is so inefficient. It's so inefficient. And I think like the Golden State game is the perfect example. Like, if he can actually make shots, you see how much of a boost that gave Portland on the road in Golden State. I mean, I saw it firsthand in person. There's just not enough of those games where he's making enough of those shots to consistently give the team a boost. So that's just the problem at the end of the day. He just doesn't make enough shots.
Yeah, and he's not. So Aerometer says it was important for us to have him for ball handling because OKC's insane steal generation, which is true. But then you see 1 assist, and so did he really? I mean, yes, he didn't turn the ball over or anything. So yes, that was probably good that we had him out there at times. But he's not generating anything for others either, like some of the other players are doing.
I will say, he's averaging 4.6 assists per 36. That's better than what I thought it would be and what I thought it was going to be. There has been some flashes of passing that I've really liked, but when you're taking as many shots as he does, and if you're a point guard, you want to see a little bit more out of that. But like, he's had some moments defensively and passing that I'm like, wow, okay, I didn't know he was capable of that. But it's just not consistent enough to be valuable to the team. The only way he's going to be valuable to a team is if he's making shots, especially with all the shots that he's taking, and just far too often he's missing a lot of those shots. Where if you just had a Colin Gillespie type, it would be a major boost off the bench just to have a shooter that could run some pick and roll. He's playing great for the Suns right now. He was a two-way guy last year. I mean, Isaiah Joe was a two-way guy before, or at least like a very end of the roster guy before. I mean, you look at Denise Jenkins in Detroit, like, where can Portland find that guy where it's a guy that can actually uplift the offense? Because I almost feel like that's the easiest thing to find on a two-way is you find somebody that can shoot and do a little bit off the dribble, and they're able to make that work at an NBA level compared to somebody that's, can't shoot threes. Their dribble drive game is tough because defenders can sag off of them. And then defensively, like, they're kind of good. That's kind of been Portland's archetype, and that hasn't really worked, and that's not really what they need. They need to find the next Colin Gillespie, because if they had a shooter like that, I know if they're healthy, that type of player wouldn't play. But right now, if you had that type of guy that was capable of coming in and knocking down 3 threes and being somewhat efficient offensively, that would be a huge help for this team. Instead, you're playing Caleb Love in that role, and he's taking more shots than he probably needs to be, and he's missing a lot of them.
Yep. I got to go for a little bit. I'll see you guys later. Hopefully I'll make it before the stream ends.
All right. Yeah, Eric has a little 30-minute meeting, so it's time for me to solo. Let me mute. No, I don't need to. Okay. So those are my thoughts on Caleb Love. Let's take a look at the team stats. The Blazers today shoot 39% from the field. I mean, that's just not going to get it done in a game like this. It almost got it done, but just imagine if they could score a little bit more efficiently. They might win this game. They might hand OKC their second loss, right? So even in what was a good loss, in my opinion, I like the way this team played tonight. I think the Blazers are at the point where it's like, okay, where can we round out some of the edges? Okay. We have Dame coming back next year. You have Deni who's popping, and you have some guys that are inconsistent. Like, where can they start to round out some of the easier edges? I think the easiest edge to round out is just finding a way to get more shooting on this team. Because you're taking a ton of threes. I mean, they shot 49 threes. They shot 42s. So they took more threes than twos in this game. Now, it's not like they didn't play downhill. They got to the line 37 times. Deni got to the line 23 times. He was playing downhill. So it wasn't like it was just 3-point happy and settling all game. But you would like to start seeing some games where they shoot 40% from three. I'm sitting here looking at this 3-point shooting number, like 33%. Okay, that's fine. That's still below average. That's still a bad 3-point shooting game for your average 3-point shooting team. The Blazers are such a poor shooting team that almost looks good, right? So if you just had a couple guys that are capable of knocking a couple more threes down, and you're 18 for 49, and then you're playing with a lead down the stretch, that's the difference in a game like this. And that's a difference in a lot of the games, a lot of the close losses the Blazers have had, where if they just had a little bit better shooting and were able to knock down 1 or 2 more threes, instead of sitting here after the game like, we played hard and it was a close loss and, we just didn't make enough shots, just missed too many shots, that's the name of the game. That's the difference between being 8-12 right now and maybe 11-9. And that's, to Eric's point, not to keep harping on the Cedric Coward thing, but having somebody like Cedric Coward, who I believe is still shooting above 40% from three this season, in the rotation, where he also does other things, like just having that shooting boost would be a legitimate difference maker for this team. They have to find a way to boost the 3-point shooting. The thing is not only would that help their percentages behind the arc and help them be more efficient as an offense just from the 3-point shooting and having a couple more threes go in per game, that would also help Deni Avdija when he drives. That would help Shaedon Sharpe when he drives. That would help Drew Holiday when he drives. That would help the entire team when they drive, just having more space to work with on the floor. I think this is the easiest thing to address, especially in today's NBA, and I think it would have a legitimate difference. It would make a legitimate difference for this team. Now, you got Damian Lillard, one of the greatest shooters ever, coming back next season, but I think they should look to address that before this, and I'll have that conversation once Eric's back. But, I mean, you just look at that number in a game like this. They only shoot 39% from the field. Would like to see that be a little bit better, but, man, just find a way to make a couple more threes per game or shoot a little bit better from the 3-point line. And I just feel like things are looking noticeably different at this point in the season. The Blazers did a good job taking care of the ball against a team that forces turnovers. I mean, shout out to Deni, man. How many times he drove, how many times he had the ball in his hands, how many passes he made, and to only have 1 turnover against this defense that was loading up against him was insanely impressive. Eric's been hard on Deni with some of his turnovers in some games, and I've always said, I'll live with him having 4 or 5 turnovers in a game where he's scoring 30 points and driving 20 times a game and creating 10 open threes for his teammates, because that's a byproduct of that style of play. Wasn't even a byproduct tonight. He literally turned over only once, and that was off a play where he thought he got fouled. So it was kind of a fluky turnover anyway. So great job by Deni taking care of the ball today. Huge shout out to him. That's a big reason why the Blazers were only turned over the ball 14 times. Only gave up 17 fast break points. The Thunder are a team that can run, especially if they do force turnovers. I do think it's kind of crazy that they did have 22 points off of 14 Blazer turnovers. So that's the thing is when you turn over the ball, OKC finds a way to convert. That's something for the Blazers to learn from because they need to be the team that when they force turnovers, they convert them. Instead of just, we're going to try and force 20 turnovers a game like their attitude was early in the season. OKC does a good job cashing in, but the Blazers didn't turn over the ball, so OKC wasn't able to really get going there. It's part of the reason why the Blazers were able to defend them as well as they did. Now, with a small lineup, 36 paint points, you understand that. Normally that number is much higher. 13 offensive rebounds. He didn't have Donovan Clingan tonight, so it was just kind of a different game from the Blazers going up against a good team. They didn't force a ton of turnovers. They didn't really get out on the break. They didn't really get a lot of offensive boards. They didn't shoot the ball too great. But they kind of limited the damage. They were better defensively, and they didn't let OKC kill them on the break. They didn't let SGA go off for 40. He only had 26. So those are the team stats. If you guys have questions, feel free to post them in the chat. I'll answer them as we continue to go through some of the players here. But Deni Avdija was great. I saw somebody wants me to talk about Sharp's defense. I mean, Sharp's not 100%. I'm not even really going to talk about him on this postgame show. He has 7 points in 22 minutes. He didn't look 100%. He's not really going to get a rhythm playing only 20 minutes a game. He's on his minutes restriction. It sucks that he can't get healthy, man. I think at this point, the biggest talking point with Shaedon Sharpe is, can he ever consistently be around 100% physically? Because he's starting to get the injury-prone label from me. When will Scoop be back? Hopefully before the new year, but I'm not sure. It's kind of insane not getting crushed without a point guard. I view Deni as a point guard as much as Jrue Holiday, to be honest. Saw a lot of chatter of people bashing on Sharpe tonight. Don't understand why. He's clearly hurt, but yeah, he's really not been injured. I'll answer that. Okay, maybe not as much of a point guard as Jrue Holiday, but like Denny's a point guard to me when there's no point guard. In a lineup like this, he used 10 assists, 1 turnover, always had the ball in his hands, created good offense. Like, he played like a true, legitimate point guard today. Jrue has better playmaking chops. I don't know, man. A little bit. That's the only difference, though. Like handling the ball, attacking, bringing the ball up the floor, initiating offense. Like, Deni can do all those things. So I don't really view Deni as somebody that's not a point guard. He's like a point forward. He's basically a positionless player. He's a hybrid of everything. And that's what's so fun about his game. Deni leads the league in potential assists. Yeah, there you go. There you go. And Denny's making reads like a true, legitimate, primary creator. Saw a lot of chatter of people bashing Sharpe tonight. Don't understand why. He's clearly hurt. You guys know I'd be the first one to criticize Sharpe if I feel like there's valid criticism of Sharpe. I don't feel like I'm ever unfair to Sharpe. I feel like all my criticism is very valid, and all the worries I've had of him is very valid as well, even though, you know, everybody gets super excited about him and wants to pump up the hype machine around Shaedon Sharpe. I've always been the guy to pump the brakes a little bit. But I'm not going to bash him when he's on a minutes restriction. He's not 100%. It's not like he went out there and made a bunch of dumb plays. I mean, the 3 turnovers, don't like to see that. That's been an issue this year. There's been plenty of games where he has been healthier, where I've criticized him for that. He needs to do a better job taking care of the ball. I just think more than any other game this year, he just did not seem 100%. And going against OKC, that's going to be tough. So, not really focused on him for tonight. I don't think this is a game where you should be bashing him. But I will say this, like the concerns that people have about him beyond this game, the 3-point shooting, he made a 3 off a screen today, which I feel like I haven't hit all season long. The pull-up 3 going left off the pick and roll. I feel like I have not seen him make that shot like at all this season. 1 for 3 from 3. But I mean, the 3-point shooting, he's 25% on the season. He's 25%, man. That's awful. That is horrible. Horrific. Like, no way to sugarcoat that. That is straight up bad. He needed to take a step forward after shooting 31% from 3 last season, and he took a major step back. He's taken a little step back from year 1 to year 2, and year 2 to year 3, and then he took a major step back. Like, when is it ever going to happen with him as a 3-point shooter? He's you know what's funny? I'm starting to feel like he's slowly becoming DeMar DeRozan, which I guess is fine, but DeMar DeRozan doesn't shoot a ton of threes. So, valid criticism. Some of the defensive stuff I think could be valid, but I think he's been a little better this year, and that's what I was asking for out of him. Better effort. He's been a little bit more engaged. The turnovers. Yeah, he needs to take better care of the ball, and I would like to see him be more of a playmaker for others, but who are the others? You don't have much shooting. But this is why I kind of pumped the brakes, is because there's so much hype about him breaking out into a true star this year, and I don't know. I felt like I didn't really see it, and I felt like there was going to be moments, and he had a couple good games earlier this season, and me and Eric had the debate, like, is he finally turning a corner? I don't know. He was 12 for 32 against Dallas, 12 for 24 against Phoenix, 4 for 8, 3 for 7. Just the 3-point shot is not there. If it's there, I'm not worried about him, as long as he's healthy. Tamani today, it was nice to see him. It was nice to see him knock down some threes. He's been struggling with his shot. It's been no secret. He's been struggling with his defense. I thought his defense was a bit better today. He did get scored on multiple times in a row down the stretch, but I don't think it was necessarily bad defense. It was more so, man, I wish Tamani could figure out a way to get a stop here, because that's his role, is the main defensive stopper, and he's capable of getting stops. It's just against SGA, when he turns the corner a little bit and you're running with him and he shoves that forearm into you, what are you supposed to do? Literally, the only way to get a stop there is to flop and hope you get a call. Because otherwise, it's just, he stops so quick, and with that forearm that he puts into the defender, it's impossible to stick to him, and then he gets a wide open mid-range shot. Like, there's literally no way to defend that. There's literally no way to defend that. So I'm not going to be too hard on Tamani. It just sucks seeing him get scored on multiple times in a row in crunch time, where it's like, damn, Tamani's the guy to get a stop, right? So I tweeted about that. I'm sure people thought it was like a big dig at Tamani. It really wasn't. It just sucks seeing it happen over and over and over again to a guy that you should have the most faith in can get a stop in these situations, even though it wasn't bad defense. It wasn't bad defense. There was a couple bad moments in this game, like when he switches on to bigs and they roll to the rim, he'll kind of stop halfway and sit in the middle of the paint, and if the offense makes a good pass to the big underneath the rim, it's an easy dunk. That happened a couple games ago, and that happened tonight. So locking in more off the ball is important. So there's still some rough moments defensively, but no player is going to be perfect defensively, and I thought today he did do a pretty decent job on SGA when he was on him. But I think for all that they call for the offense and for SGA, I wish they would call that forearm. I wish they would call that forearm. But nice to see him make some threes, 4 assists, solid game. The team is... This just goes into the entire talking point of the season so far. Like, Tamani's 5 for 10 from 3, and we're in this game. If Tamani's 2 for 11 from 3 like he was last game, we lose this game by almost 20. We lose this game by like 15, 16 points. But also, if he's 2 for 11 like he was last game, then the defense just completely leaves him wide open. It makes it even tougher on Deni, and we probably lose by 20-plus points. But he kept OKC's defense honest because he made some threes. So you could tell OKC's defense, after Tamani makes a couple threes, was respecting him more as a shooter than San Antonio was last game, where they were leaving him completely wide open and Tamani couldn't make anything. So it's really important for Tamani to get back to the three-point shooter that he was last year that defenses had to respect. If not, he made him pay more often than not. Unfortunately, this season it's been the Blazers are paying when Tamati's wide open because he's not making enough threes. Now, if the Blazers had more shooting out there, it probably wouldn't be as noticeable. And Tamati probably wouldn't have to take 11 threes when he can't buy a shot like he did last game. You'd have other guys to space the floor, create more space. Tamati would be able to cut into space more. So with this team's lack of shooting, it's really important for Tamati to make threes. And he did that today, and that's why the Blazers, one of the big reasons the Blazers were in this game to begin with. Jeremy Grant, 18 points, 7 for 18 from the field. He had 3 blocks. I really liked some of the help side defense and some of the hustle he gave today. Like, I thought he played pretty hard. That doesn't translate to rebounding ever for him, but we know that by now. There's some turnovers. I mean, 4 for 11 from 3. That's solid shooting clip. He took some tough threes, made a couple tough threes. Just would have liked to have a couple of the open ones there down the stretch, but you're asking a guy to shoot above 50% from 3. I mean, how much can you ask for? I do like him better off the bench, coming in and providing a spark. That's my thoughts on him. Chris Murray today, he had 13 points. Good effort from Chris. 5 for 9 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. Had 6 boards, 2 assists, 2 turnovers. This was a solid game from him. They were still a minus 12 with him on the floor, though. Yeah. Some of his drives drive me crazy, and then he scores. It's really strange. I don't know how he makes some of his drives work, but I just feel like he hasn't been as impactful defensively as I would hope for. Like, he's been fine, but when switched out onto smaller, quicker guys, I feel like he's just okay. And he needs to be a little bit better than that. He had a nice baseline cut, nice reverse finish in this game. Like, this was a solid Chris Murray game. But here's the thing, man, is like, the bar for Chris Murray is super low. He plays 35 minutes and he has 13 points and it feels like a lot. And he goes 5 for 9 and makes 2 of his 4 wide open threes, and it's like a great thing. But any like solid offensive player, this is just another game. Scoring 13 points in 35 minutes and going 5 for 9 for the field and 2 for 4 from 3. It's like, okay, yeah, so, okay, hit some shots, but whatever. Like, that's the thing, is for Chris Murray, this is maybe his best offensive game of the season. For other 9th, 10th men in the league that are skilled offensively and good offensively, like, this wouldn't be anything all that great. That's kind of the difference between Chris Murray and some better offensive options across the league. Is his defense really that good that it's better than maybe having somebody that can go off for 20 or have some big games and be solidly efficient and consistently space the floor? I don't know if the trade-off's worth it. I don't know if the defense is good enough from Chris Murray for that trade-off. But not to take away from him having a good offensive game by his standards. Comment in chat says, if JG is 39%, 2 is 35%, and Shea reaches 30%, you have enough to win games. I mean, you're still talking about 3 guys in the starting lineup that were below average 3-point shooters. 35% is a little bit below average. 30% is far below average. Donovan Klingen's in the 20s. Right. And then Drew Holiday. What's Drew Holiday at? What was he at before he got hurt? Drew Holiday was at 36%, so he's average. I still don't think that's good enough. Like, that's still a pretty bad 3-point shooting starting lineup. Your only legitimately good 3-point shooters are Deni Avdija and Jeremy Grant. But Deni Avdija is your main creator. You want good 3-point shooters playing off of him. So I don't think that's good enough. City Sissoko plays 21 minutes, has 5 points, knocked down a 3. It's nice to see 3 balls fall for him a little bit more often lately, but I mean, he's 1 for 4 from 3. It's like, yay, City made a 3 today. He's 1 for 4 from 3. He shot 25% from 3 today. Just the bar has been lowered so freaking much in terms of the shooting for this team. But he was a +7 when he was out there. I mean, I don't know. He was somebody out there today that, like, didn't really mess up. You know? Just gave them minutes, ate up minutes when they needed a guy to eat up minutes. I think he's done a solid job of that, which is why he's been starting a lot of games, despite being on the two-way. But yeah, I mean, he played 21 minutes. He was 1 for 4 from 3. ± is a bad individual game stat. Okay. But it is a stat, so. And bringing it up for City is like they outscored the Thunder with City on the floor. It's more so to say he didn't screw things up enough where it like made them lose this game. Is essentially what I'm saying by saying he's a +7. Like the Blazers were able to outscore them with City Sissoko on the floor. Like he didn't screw things up enough where it just ruined things. You know? We're talking about a pretty damn low bar here. So that's the context behind bringing up ± for City. Drop Reith played 3 minutes, missed a 3. He's in the doghouse. His defense is awful. He was a -9 in 3 minutes. Like, Duop defensively is super rough, and he's not a good enough three-point shooter to just be a three-point specialist. On the season, he was 52% in 15 games before this, but it's a super small sample size. He's 14 for 27. His shooting would be very valuable for this team, but he's maybe the worst defender outside of Yong Hansen on this team. So in a game where you don't have Klingon and you can't play Yong, like he still only plays 3 minutes. Shows you how much the coaching staff trusts him right now. Ryan Repair played 6 minutes. He made a 3 and then he airballed the 3. That's a Ryan Repair experience. Like if he makes the 3, I feel like there's a greater than 50% chance that he airballs the next one. It's super strange. His shot is super stiff. Nice to see him make a 3, I guess, but that he airballs. And the Blazers need to end that experiment as soon as possible and replace him with a shooter. They really need to. But here's the thing, man. I had this conversation on Twitter. I said the Blazers defense is not as... In the last 10 games, I think they were a bottom 10 defense, and I said this is inexcusable. The Blazers defense should be better than this. And people were saying, "Oh, but you're missing Blake Wesley, and you're missing Drew Holiday, and you're missing Matisse Thybulle. Like that's going to hurt the defense." Yeah, of course, the defense would be even or should be even better with those guys in the lineup. But even when those guys were in the lineup, when they stopped forcing turnovers, the defense still wasn't particularly good. But that point aside, even with those guys out, the Blazers still have Toumani Camara, second team all defense. They still have Jeremy Grant. They still have Robert Williams III, who was in conversation for Defensive Player of the Year at one point in his career a few years ago. Okay? And then you have guys like Chris Murray and City Sissoko and Ryan Repair, who are all supposed to be defensive-minded guys first. Like, that's supposed to be their best thing is they can defend. Right? And you've had Donovan Klingon, who's a really good rim protector. So my point is, if you think the defense should be so bad because you're playing Ryan Repair and Chris Murray and City Sissoko, then you should be questioning Joe Cronin why he has these defensive-minded guys whose best traits are supposed to be their defense, but their defense is so bad that it completely ruins the defense, even with other good defenders around them. Like, why are these guys even on the roster then, if that's the case? But I'm not buying that. Like, Chris is solid defensively. City Sissoko is no pushover defensively. Ryan Repair, I mean, he doesn't play enough for me to really know where his defense is at. Like, but he's a body. Like, he's not playing heavy minutes. And you've still had Toumani, you've still had Grant, you've still had Deni, who's a solid defender. Had some rough moments this year, but he's an okay defender. You've had Donovan Klingon. Like, even with the guys out, the defense should still be above average, in my opinion, and it hasn't been the past 10 games. Like, the defense has underachieved all season. It's just without Drew and Blake and Matisse, like, it's underachieving. You know, the bars are lowered, and they're still not reaching it. Tonight, it was better, but just kind of as an overarching theme, like, the defense has not been as good as it should have been, no matter who's on the floor. With us being 20 games in, I want to bring up dunksandthrees.com. I don't know if this is set up, but let's look at okay, let me move this over. All right, we're going to take a look at some stats for this team. There we go. All right. So let's look at adjusted net rating. The Blazers rank 18th. This is after tonight's game. Adjusted offensive rating, they're 15th. Let me show my cursor too. Okay. It just went goodbye. Okay, there we go. All right. So Blazers are 15th in adjusted offensive rating and 20th in adjusted defensive rating. Which is just kind of baffling to me because it feels like the offense has been noticeably worse, but I guess, you know, you have a star in Deni Avdija who's been carrying this offense to league average offense. The goal before the season was like, Blazers need to be a league average offense and a borderline top 5 defense. And that would make them a legitimate playoff team. And I thought both of those were maybe a little bit loftier goals, but like, if anything, the defense was more achievable than the offense. That has not been the case. The offense is actually performing better than the defense, which just makes zero sense to me. Because you got all these defensive-minded guys that can't shoot, and we're still playing like a bottom 10 defense. What if you just got shooters that can't defend, and maybe this was the 10th ranked offense, and your defense was still around 20th? Like, it's kind of backwards to me. It's very, very confusing to me. But let's look at let's just kind of scroll through all the stats here. The Blazers right now rank 26th in effective field goal percentage. I think that's why it's confusing. Is this isn't true shooting, so it's not taking into account free throws. And the Blazers shoot the 6th most free throws per game of any team, the sixth highest free throw rate. So that's one of the reasons their offense has been so good, is they get to the line a ton. Also, look at the offensive rebounding. They rank 2nd behind Houston, who's look at this. Look how good Houston is. But the Blazers are 2nd. So they get to the line a ton, and they get a ton of offensive rebounds. That's why they are a league average offense. The shooting is not league average. The shooting is still very, very bad. The Blazers rank 25th in efficiency finishing at the rim. They rank 30th in efficiency on mid-range shots, and they are the 28th best three-point shooting team. They are getting closer. It's funny seeing Indiana this low, but I mean, Indiana's decimated by injuries and tanking. Same thing with Dallas. Portland is getting close to passing Indiana for being the worst three-point shooting team in the league. Somehow, this team is still a league average offense, despite being 25th or worst in efficiency at all 3 levels. Now, they do have a good shot diet where they don't shoot many mid-range shots. They shoot a lot of shots at the rim. That's why they get to the free throw line as much as they do. And even shooting 62% at the rim, overall, like, it's bad efficiency for getting to the rim. But if you get into the rim a lot and finishing a little bit worse because of it, it's not the worst thing in the world, because 62% from the field or 62% from 2 is still good. But look at this. They have the 28th ranked three-point percentage. They shoot the 5th highest rate of threes. Like, this is the biggest disconnect with this offense, are these two numbers. Okay, because I'm not sure if you can tell. This number is the 3-point rate, the attempt percentage from threes. 45% of the Blazers' field goal attempts are from three. This is why we're sitting here saying they need more shooting, because they want to shoot a lot of threes, and they go 33% from three today, and it's above average. I told you, it feels like it's almost good. Well, yeah, it's literally better than what they normally do. So given how many threes they take, they need more shooting. We knew this. This was so obvious this offseason. And they did nothing to address it outside of getting Damian Lillard, who's not going to play until next year. Mid-range shots, they don't shoot any, so like, who cares about the percentage? Whatever. The rim finishing numbers would need to be better. If they just shot league average from three and league average from the rim, they'd probably be a top 10 offense. That's the funny thing about all this. Anyway, the defensive shooting numbers. Portland is the 10th best rim defending team. This is opposing rim percentage, okay? So opponent field goal percentage at the rim. The Blazers are 10th best in defending that. Teams make a lot of mid-range shots against the Blazers. The Blazers like to go up a lot of mid-range shots. I mean, 46%. You can live with that, right? It's better to have teams hit a high percentage of mid-range shots compared to getting to the rim a lot, just because mid-range shots are far more inefficient. The Blazers rank 21st in defending the three-point line. The Blazers do a good job running teams off the three-point line. They force some mid-range shots. The rim percentage, or this is the amount of times teams get to the rim. Teams get to the rim at an above average rate against the Blazers. None of these numbers are all that bad, though. It's funny seeing the Blazers shooting. The Blazers are ranked higher offensively in adjusted offensive rating than they are in defensive rating. But if you look at their offensive shooting numbers, they're horrible. And their defensive shooting numbers, they're not that bad. It would be nice to force teams into missing more threes, but whatever. Where the biggest issue comes defensively is the same things that are strengths for the Blazers offensively. It's free throw rate and it's offensive rebounding. For the Blazers, in this case, defensive rebounding. If we go back here, the Blazers are the 27th best defensive rebounding team and the 5th worst at letting opponents get to the free throw line. So the Blazers let opponents get to the free throw line a ton, and they don't get enough defensive rebounds. They foul too much, and they don't box out, and they don't get defensive rebounds. I think this is the biggest theme I want you guys to get out of this, is the Blazers' issues, I think, are relatively easily fixable by A, getting more shooting, B, boxing out more, and C, being more disciplined defensively, not fouling so much. I think that would make such a massive difference for this team, and all those things are very fixable. One of them's roster construction. A couple of them are just playing more disciplined on the floor, boxing out more, getting more rebounds. That sort of thing. I see Eric in chat. Is he back yet? Okay, he is back. Okay. I don't know how long you've been back for, but welcome back.
Thanks.
Anyway, I was just rifling through the stats, so I want your thoughts on these numbers, Eric. Here's one thing that's interesting: the Blazers' opponents are the best free throw percentage shooting team in the league. Not only do opponents get to the line a ton, they make like all their free throws against us. Opponents have the best steal percentage against us and the best block percentage against us. Look at all these numbers; they're all 30th. Interesting. And then the one number I want to look at, the Blazers. The Blazers are the 12th best team at forcing turnovers. Remember when we were top of the league and we were historic in that regard? Since then, we must be like a bottom 10 team for it to fall all the way from first and like easily first, where it was early in the season, to 12th. But biggest themes, biggest takeaways, I think, are Blazers don't get enough defensive boards. Blazers foul too much. Blazers don't shoot well enough from three. And if those three things were improved to just league average rates, this would be a good team and would be an above 500 team.
Do they have strength of schedule adjusted on there?
Yeah, so the adjusted offensive and defensive ratings are supposed to be adjusted for strength of schedule. So the Blazers numbers, basically the Blazers, according to this, have played the second hardest strength of schedule. So their offensive and defensive adjusted ratings get a bump.
Okay.
But I don't know where that compares to. Let's just look at defensive rating unadjusted. Yeah, so the Blazers have the 22nd best defensive rating. This is unadjusted. And on offense, I don't know where I go for offense. On offense, the Blazers have the 19th offensive rating, 19th best. So those get bumped up to 15th and 20th, respectively, when adjusted for strength of schedule.
Interesting. I was wondering, like, how, because we played a lot of teams. I know we've had injuries too, but we've played a lot of teams missing their best player as well. I didn't know how that factored in.
Yeah, I don't know how well they factor that in, or if it's just off of schedule.
Like, I think back-to-backs are supposed to be in the adjusted one too.
Yeah. Yeah, so it may be slightly misleading in that regard, but at the end of the day, it's like they're 15th in adjusted offensive rating, and they are horrific in terms of efficiency from all three levels. Like, just find some freaking shooting, man. Just please. Yeah. Like, these end-of-the-roster guys can go. Replace them with just guys that can knock down threes, space the floor. You want to take so many of them. It's not like your defense has been good anyway, right? We're getting into a conversation about overarching themes, what to do moving forward, etc. It's just the biggest takeaway from the first 20 games of the season. Also, the biggest takeaway is Eric will get collab cammed all the time. Anyway, did you have any thoughts from those stats?
No, everything you said is pretty much what we've been thinking all year. They do need to do a little bit better job of keeping guys in front of them. I thought they did, for the most part, a good job of that today. There were a couple times in the first half where Isaiah Joe came in and they just completely lost him in transition. He got an open three. Yep. You got to cut those kind of possessions out. But for the most part, I think it is the lack of keeping players in front of them, and then the lack of the just volume of fouls that they're committing has been an issue. But yeah, I mean, shooting, it just anytime I look at that kind of stuff, the shooting just jumps out at you, and you wonder, as Era in chat was asking earlier, how we shot like 33% and still almost win this game against the best team in the league. So like, I think a lot of that is propped up by offensive rebounding. Obviously tonight, without Klingman in there, that's he's been a major part of that. But yeah, the numbers seem like about where they should be if you watch this team. I feel like the defense has been the most disappointing part all year. Yep.
Absolutely agree. So we're going to talk about like what needs to happen moving forward. Maybe we can talk a trade or two, take your questions on what needs to happen next. But first, I'd like to give a shout out to Sleeper. Use promo code Uprise. You'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100, and you'll get a free $20 entry on Sleeper. Free $20 entry. I keep saying this. Why wouldn't you take advantage of that? No deposit required. Literally no deposit required. You don't have to put any money down. You can make a parlay. I know a lot of you are smart when it comes to the NBA, so put that to use. Make a $20 parlay. See if you win some money. There's literally no downside. So, great promo. Use the code UPRISE. Get in on the action. You got NFL on there. You got college basketball as well. If you want to scout some players, put together a little sleeper picks with some college players you want to watch and have some fun watching the game. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring the channel. And then also, we need to do a tankathon.
While you're setting that up, Gregory. Okay. I mean, this had to do with the conversation we were just having.
Go ahead.
Gregory asks, curious, when they sat down in August and decided to play this style, do you think the staff just thought they could get existing roster to play this way, or they said, screw it, we're doing it regardless? I'm assuming that means in terms of like shooting a bunch of threes, even though they didn't have the roster.
I mean, the offense they orchestrated needs spacing, and you need to make a lot of threes.
Yeah.
So that was the idea, was they were going to shoot a lot of threes. Why they had that idea with this roster, I don't know.
I mean, if you have everyone healthy outside of, you knew Dame wasn't going to be there this year, but that was before Scoot tore his hamstring, and Drew will be in and out of the lineup all year. I'm afraid it's just how it is. Sharp has had his injury problems. Like, maybe they thought they had enough shooting, just like Cronin talked about having enough ball handlers and stuff like that. But I don't know, man. It does seem like a little bit trying to do something without the personnel to do it.
Yep. Just pisses me off that, man, people aren't going to like this comment. If I was the GM this offseason, I think it would have looked the exact same, and Cedric Howard would be a Blazer instead of Yong Hansen, and Cedric Howard would fit this offense freaking perfectly. That's the frustrating part.
He's a good defender.
He's a good defender. He would fit this offense like a glove, though. Like, you go in, you hire a new coaching staff to put in a new offense, and you're sitting there on the board at 11, and you have the perfect player for that, and you say, no, we're going to take a guy that's 27% from three as a center, a drop big, but then we're going to act like he can shoot and hope he can fix our shooting problems. He's able to play some minutes this year. Just very strange. Very, very, very strange what they did on draft day especially when you look at not only was Coward the right pick, but also when you look at what they were doing with their offense, he was perfect for it, and they didn't want that. I do not understand that. So
imagine all those kickouts to Sissoko being like a legit shooter.
I know, man. I know.
Crazy.
I know. Like, that's the frustrating thing is, like, 8-12, okay, they've had a tough schedule just in terms of opponents that they've gotten out of the way. But, man, it's just you have some shooting on this team, and we're above 500 probably. We could be talking about maybe they can make a 6th seed. But yeah, I mean, it's just always frustrating seeing things before they happen and then them happening exactly the way you see it, like new shooting was going to be an issue. Of course it was going to be an issue. And of course it is an issue. And it's like, we knew it. We knew it, man. And then of course the Coward thing I'll never get over because that dude's a freaking stud. And I was super confident of that happening. So that's the stuff that always drives me crazy is like, when it's not hindsight, when it's like, yeah, of course, this is not a good enough shooting roster. Of course, the guys at the end of the roster are not good enough shooters, man. But
here's the other thing that we haven't really talked about much either, because we ended up signing Dame with the mid-level exception. But short of that situation going down exactly how it was with Dame getting waived by Milwaukee and wanting to come back here, we weren't going to do anything other than we signed Blake Wesley in free agency. Like, what else? Like, why were we not attempting to sign a shooter? Because free agency started before Dame had been waived. So that, maybe they had some inside information that was a possibility, but it seemed like it was a pretty big shock to everyone involved when it happened. So why were they not trying to add shooting via that mid-level exception or some sort of move? Why did they just draft Yong Hansen and sign players that were not shooters, and not address that at all in any trade or draft situation?
I don't know. It just, to me, it comes across as just laziness. I don't really understand.
Or ineptitude.
Yeah, I like that's the thing is there's people out there that want me to call Cronin a genius for what he's done. I mean, the way the Dane trade played out worked out pretty damn well in our favor, but like he didn't foresee every aspect of that, number one. Number two, it's like, does it take a genius to put shooting on this roster that wants to shoot a lot of threes? You know?
Right, yeah.
Like if he's a genius, he should have probably figured that part out. And it didn't, unless you think I'm a genius, I don't think it took a genius to just sit there at 11 and draft Cedric Coward and address the shooting need and have a perfect fit. And a very high character guy. Like I feel like more than half the fan base wanted Cedric Coward, or at least the people in my circle that don't just listen to me. Like there's a lot of people I know that really wanted Cedric Coward, thought Cedric Coward was perfect. Like it didn't take a genius to address the shooting need, and it hasn't happened. So I'm going to continue to criticize the roster construction and criticize Joe Cronin for having a team that shoots a crap ton of threes without shooters on it. Third worst shooting team in the league. Like we could be the worst shooting team in the league next week. So until that gets addressed, like it's hard to sit here and praise him for like taking this roster to the next level because they're still below 500, and it's year 5 of him, and we've gone through multiple rebuilding years, and now it's like we have some good traits to this team. We have some good pieces. The Deni trade was awesome. I said so at the time. I really liked the Deni trade at the time, and now I love it. You got a star for the 14th pick and what could be a late first in 2029. So, great move, but just freaking fix the shooting, man. Like, I just cannot get over the lack of shooting on this team. I can't get over how I was like, oh, this team made 16 threes today. We shot 33%. That feels pretty good. Like, I can't get over how that feels pretty good to us when that's bad. So, figure it out. Like, moving forward, this team, if it's in a play-in spot and it wants to be serious about winning games, this team needs to make a trade for some shooting. If Keon Ellis is available, go get Keon Ellis. Like, if there's another guy available, if you guys have names in mind that might be on the trade market, feel free to drop in the chat. But it's literally that simple. Like, find some freaking shooting at the deadline so I can stop criticizing this.
It's almost as Cedric Coward wasn't really a proven shooter coming in, though, was he? Okay, so 6-game sample size, so you could say not proven, but he did shoot 40% last year at Washington State in those 6 games. And before that at Eastern Washington, he shot 39.4% and 38.3%. So it wasn't like he was not a shooter either.
And you could listen to him talk about the way that he was like working on his shot and working on his game. At least for me, listening to him in interviews.
Just looking
at
his shot too.
Yeah, and his form, and just listening to him talk, like this dude gets it. Like there's just a feeling, like listening to his interviews even, like this dude knows. Like there's just smart players that know what they need to work on and work on it effectively and improve a lot. He improved so much over 4 years of college. Like he obviously works his ass off and works on the right things and is smart enough to know how to level up his game multiple levels, going from freaking Willamette University in Salem, D3, to now a first team all-rookie guy. So yeah, like, and just listening to him in an interview, it was so obvious to me that, like, okay, this dude's not going to be a bust. He's at least going to be a solid role player. I promised Stephen Vaughn, like, he's going to be solid at the very least. I literally promised him that because he was saying he's a risky pick. I'm like, no, this dude has no risk at all. He's going to be good.
I drive by Willamette for work once a week, and every time I drive by, this whole conversation comes up in my mind. Like, dang it! Like, it just makes me think of him every time.
Now his 3-point percentage just down to 37%, but 37% would be great on this team. He's still shooting 45% for the field. He's averaging 13 points a game, 6 boards, 3 assists in 27 minutes a game as a 6'5" guy with a 7'2" wingspan that can play defense. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, anyway. Okay, I'm done ranting about this. I'm going to rant about this 20 times this season on post-game shows. I swear to God. Yeah. But here's the thing. I would not be sitting here. Yeah, I might be at 20 already. I would not be sitting here, like, ranting this much about it if we just had other shooters. Like, just go find a freaking Isaiah Joe. I don't care. Like, just find some freaking shooting. It's not hard, man. It's literally not hard. So, Buddy Hield, I mean, Buddy Hield's not shooting a good 3-ball this year, and he's making $10 million. Like, it doesn't have to be a guy. It doesn't have to be a guy making $10 million. Go find the next Colin Gillespie, man. Like, it's just so insane to me. Yeah, Buddy Hield's shooting 31% from 3 this year. He might be washed.
So the same guy asked, didn't he have a subpar free throw percentage? I feel like that is a closer indicator. Dude, you're just making stuff up. He shot 83.9% last year from free throws. Year before, when he was actually healthy and played 32 games, 89.5%.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't making it up. He was asking us if he had a subpar free throw percentage, but yeah, he didn't. He did not. Anyway, let's run a tankathon to see what good player we can pass on next. Blazers are now up into a tie with 10th with Memphis. They are only a game and a half outside of the 11th seed in the West, which is freaking Utah. Freaking Utah. Whose pick goes to OKC if it's not in the top 8. And then the Clippers are a problem, man. This is getting scary, Eric. This is getting scary. Have you seen? They've only won 3 games since they beat us. They beat us to go to 2-1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at this. Their only wins. 2-point win over New Orleans. 6-point win over Dallas. And then they beat Charlotte. They have losses against Dallas at home. They've had a tough schedule, but they lost to Memphis at home. I mean, look at some of these teams. So Lakers, Cleveland, Orlando, Philadelphia. Boston, they lost by 3. Denver, Atlanta, Phoenix twice. Lost both those games. OKC, Miami. So the hope is they start getting some easier games and start winning some games because it's not like they can tank. They don't have their pick. It goes to OKC, which is super scary.
Oh,
anyway,
that freaking trade.
12. God, yeah. 12% chance of the top 4, 2.5% chance of the number 1 overall pick. Let's simulate it. Let's scroll from the bottom. I hope it's simulated, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it's simulated. Yeah, it didn't. Why didn't it simulate? Simulate. There we go.
Or it went chalk.
No, because the dash was next to the team name. And if you simulate it, it will put the number. 14 is OKC via Philadelphia. 13 is Chicago. 12 is Milwaukee. 11 is Memphis. See, we have the number there. All right, 10 is your Portland Trail Blazers. 9 is OKC. 8 is Charlotte. 7 is Dallas. 6 is Sacramento. This is all chalk. And 5 is Atlanta via New Orleans. So OKC is in the top 4. At 4 is Brooklyn. At 3 is Indiana. At 2 is the Oklahoma City Thunder. And at 1 is the Washington Wizards. Tankathon isn't fun anymore.
So they have 2, 9, and 14.
Yep.
Awesome.
In a loaded lottery.
Good job, guys.
In a loaded lottery. Yeah, so they get
they're gonna take Boozer at 2, and then
they get Boozer. They get Boozer. They take off Dallas at 14, and I don't know, like a Kareem Lopez. You know, one of those. Well, Boozer's probably gonna be a star, but I feel like they'd get 2 stars out of that draft.
Yeah,
They'd find a way. Anyway. All right, so is there any shooters that come to mind other than Keon Ellis on the trade market?
I mean, people always mention Kispert.
Yeah, I think you're a little hard on him, but also I'm not. The contract's like bigger than it needs to be. I feel like for what he does, and his defense is not good.
Yeah, see, this is for me. It's going to go back. If you can't get a Keon Ellis, it's going to go back to why aren't you trying to trade into a second round to just like get whatever the best shooter is. I know Kobe Bryant hasn't played it all yet, but like, you know, that guy was a lights out shooter in college. Why aren't you just trying to add a shooter somewhere on a 2-way where you can put him in and maybe have something?
You know what, Eric? They could have addressed this if they kept a second round pick in the 2024 NBA draft.
Because, Jalen Wells?
I mean, I will go through multiple names, okay?
Yeah.
There is multiple guys. The second round from that draft is looking particularly good, okay? So they had the 34th pick, okay? All these players were taken after the 34th pick. AJ Mitchell, he had a clutch bucket against us today. You know? He can shoot.
I mean, he wasn't – that was his one question mark, and why he fell was people were worried about his three-point shot, but he shot pretty well so far in the NBA.
You take a chance on a guy in the second round that might be able to shoot, and if he does, becomes a good NBA player. I like those odds. Mm-hmm. You know? Jalen Wells. Okay. Pele Larson. Is that how you say his first name?
Yeah, I guess.
I feel like I always butcher his first name. But he's been quietly good for Miami this year. I don't know how much attention you've paid to him, but so far this season, he's playing for a winning team in the rotation, playing every game, and he's 35% from three, 46% from the field, 10 points per game, 3.5 assists.
That offense is good for him.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's been solid. He's in the rotation on a good team right now. Jamal Shed, although I don't know what he's shooting, but he's been like fantastic off the bench this year for Toronto. I think like per 36, he's averaging over 10 assists a game. He plays good D, right?
Doesn't turn the ball over.
Takes care of the ball. And this season, he's shooting 38% from three. So, you know, you could have your Blake Wesley, but like he'd be able to shoot and pass. You know, if you took him at 40, which the Blazers traded that pick for freaking cash. They traded that pick for cash. And people were saying, why are you mad about trading the pick for cash? Well, you have a chance of getting somebody that can legitimately help you, especially at an area of need. Okay? 52, Quentin Post. He's a stretch 5.
We did draft him.
Yeah.
Much like Coward.
Yeah. So those are just some of the names. 53, Cam Spencer has been a bit of a breakout player for Memphis this year. Right? He is currently playing every night. He's averaging 10 points per game, 3.5 assists. He's shooting 44% from three. He's a 6'3" shooting guard, so he's an undersized shooting guard, but he shoots 5 threes a game in 20 minutes per game and makes 2 of them. He shoots 44% from three. And you traded a pick before he was taken for cash, just to pad Jody's pockets, I guess. Where his shooting would be awesome on this team. And he can handle the ball a little bit, like play a little bit of point guard, doesn't really turn the ball over, doesn't make mistakes, just a solid player. So, those are 5 names, Eric. Those are 5 names. Maybe it was 6. I lost count. Yeah. So, but the Blazers, you know, didn't value those second round picks for whatever reason. But I mean, the last time we saw them make a second round pick, it was what, Ryan Repair?
Yeah, that was the last time they kept it.
Yeah. Jabari Walker. They literally hate the 3-point specialist archetype. Or they hate the archetype of player that can make threes. It's always like, maybe this guy might be able to make some threes, but maybe not. He's not the purest of shooters. Like, I know Jabari was an okay three-point shooter. He was 36% his sophomore year, so the idea was, he'll be able to shoot. I don't know. They never have shooters at the end of the roster. It's just always been a thing.
Yep. Well, I know he didn't shoot particularly well in college, but Will Richard went 56 in this last draft. Golden State gets him, and of course he's shooting 38% this year,
Yeah, of course.
And he's a good defender, like all around, good player,
Yeah.
Would have fit well on this roster as well.
I mean, I wasn't super high on him in the draft. I didn't think he'd be this good. So, like, some of this is obviously hindsight, but it's Portland's job to, like, find a shooter at some point one of these years. You know what I mean? Like, other teams find these guys and get a lot out of them, and they can knock down three balls. Why can't Portland's front office figure it out?
Honestly, Tori, they think they have, because both their last two picks have been centers, and they tried to tell us that both of them could shoot threes and that they think are going to be three-point shooters. And we've seen, I mean, obviously they're both in their first and second year, but like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with them evaluating shooting. I just, maybe they just don't know how, because they've gotten two centers who can't shoot into a gym and think they can be three-point shooters, and they haven't shown that they can be.
But, like, they're basing it off of no body of work.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, they don't know how to evaluate.
The thing is, you don't even have to think. You can just look at, okay, Yong Hansen was 27% from three in the CBA last year. Okay, he's probably going to have a lot of work to do as a shooter. Donovan Clingan never shot threes in college. Never had any body of work shooting the three ball. So the thought process should be, okay, he's going to need a lot of work to become a three-point shooter. He's not a three-point shooter yet. Instead, they're pitching these guys as shooters. And, man, Clingan in his workout really impressed us shooting the ball. Like, what the hell are we doing, man? Like, go get somebody that you know can shoot instead of trying to sit here and be like, yeah, Clingan, who never shot threes in high-level games before, he'll be able to shoot. And then Yong Hansen, who was 27% of the CBA last year, he's the next Jokic. He'll be able to shoot as well. It's just kind of dumb to me. So, yeah, it's like not even an inability to evaluate shooting. It's the ability to convince yourself that somebody who's not a shooter actually is one.
Right.
Because all the evaluation points with these guys is like, they're not shooters. I mean, Chris Murray, I sat there when they drafted him. Like, I don't trust him to be a good shooter, but hopefully he can be.
Well, that one, I firmly believe they saw what Keegan did his rookie year. And were like, oh, if his brother did this for Sacramento, look what he could do for us,
Which is just very, very dumb. Like, I don't have... I know I started off the stream saying this is the best loss of the season, but just to end off the stream, I'm being cynical a bit, but I don't really trust the scouting stuff and the drafting stuff. It's tough for me to agree. Or it's tough for me to see it with the scouting department, man, because there's just so many questions and they can't. Repair's not a shooter. Is the best shooter they've ever drafted Scoot Henderson? Under Mike Schmitz?
I mean, it might be.
Yeah. How's the best shooter you've drafted under this scouting department with plenty of picks that they've made? Scoot Henderson. It's not even a debate. Who else is there? Am I forgetting somebody?
I don't know technically what Repair's percentage is, but
the dude that has to airball every time he makes a three. Like, and he shoots the most stiffest standstill jumpers. He's a career 32% three-point shooter. But it's like wide open, standstill, stiff. And his rookie season is doing a lot of the weight there. He's been 27% the last 2 years. Yeah. Alex says Caleb Love. Sure, we can count two-way guys they picked up. Caleb Love, City Sissoko, Taze Moore, Justin Minaya. Like even the two-way guys they picked up.
I guess Jabari Walker last year shot better technically than.
All right, let's look at Jabari Walker for his career. 31%.
Yeah, I was saying one season.
Yeah, where he shot 1 a game in 60 games. Yeah. Shot like 65 threes. Yeah. They like free agency or trade. I mean, I guess Tamani and Deni, but like they've really only picked up one above average shooter that's played for them. You know, not counting Dame. Like Blake Wesley, not a shooter.
Well, once again, I come back to why wasn't this even like what did they do to try and address this? Like how could they not foresee this coming? That's like the biggest. It's just so frustrating. Like I mean, we talked about this all offseason that they needed shooting. How could they not envision that this play style needed a shooter or two to match it?
It's crazy. So Tamani's like 35.2%. I think that's slightly below average. So you could say in Joe Cronin's time as Blazer GM, the only two guys he's picked up that are average or better 3-point shooters are Deni Avdija and Jeremy Grant in like 5 years. I mean,
and they're just like slightly better than.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is that first trade deadline, they got Svi Mikhailuk and Nikhil Alexander Walker and got rid of both of them. And both those guys can shoot, so it's just like, at what point is it like Joe Cronin just hates 3-point shooters? Or this organization just hates shooting? It's almost like they have, it's almost like all the years with having really good offenses and bad defenses with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, like, made Joe Cronin, because he was part of those front offices, made Joe Cronin hate shooting. He got sick of it, I guess. I don't know. But, like, it's just the one thing for me with Joe Cronin. He's done some good moves. The Deni trade is arguably better than any move Neil Olshey ever made outside of drafting Damian Lillard. But some people say, oh, Paul Allen already decided that pick. It wasn't Neil. Okay, whatever. Like, the Deni trade is better than any move Neil Olshey's made. So you could sit here and say, like, if you want to compare the two, Joe Cronin has higher highs. At least the Deni trade was a better buying move than Neil Olshey ever made trade-wise by far. But just this hatred of shooters for me is just like the biggest hang-up. Like, why can't you address this? I am rambling in circles on this, man, but it's just so baffling to me.
Well, Matt says, I'm guessing they based their decision on a healthy Scoot, Matisse, and Shea. Well, that's stupid then, because Matisse has proven he can be okay in stretches, but he's not someone that you're ever going to consider a lights-out shooter. Shea has not shot the three ball well. That's his biggest weakness. We all knew that was his biggest weakness on the offensive end, at least. Like, everyone knew that was his biggest weakness on the offensive end. And whether he had a good training camp or summer or whatever shooting the ball is completely irrelevant, and they should not have just penciled him in as a shooter until he proved it in games. And Scoot, while it is hopeful that what he shot last year is basically what he will become, and if he can shoot in the 35 to 38% range, I think that's great. But you shouldn't go into an offseason also thinking that your best penetrator is also like considered like one of the guys you're going to depend on for shooting, because he's the one that's supposed to be kicking out to these shooters. So if he's the kick out guy, the guy who gets into the defense to create these open threes, you don't want to have him then be thought of as your best 3-point shooter too, because it's just like you need the shooters to space the floor, like what's happening with Deni right now.
Yeah.
So like I don't understand why anyone would give them that excuse that, oh, they maybe thought these shooters would be better than they were. Then they're stupid. Like, and they overthought what they had and didn't plan well enough.
We're talking about two guys that are 34% from three for their career and a guy that's 32% from three for their career. Like, literally, Just look at the numbers. Just literally look at the numbers. Don't even have to think about it.
Also, all these percentages we're talking about with the Blazers, it's on wide open threes too. They're either first or near the top of most open on 3-point shooters as well. So this is literally a majority of their threes are catch and shoot open situations that their players can't even hit. It's not like the Dame years and the CJ years where we were talking about where they took a lot of tough threes. So their percentage might not look as good, but they're shooting 10 a game. So it like balances out if they're 37, 38%, as opposed to like 40% on wide open shots. So they're shooting horrible, yet they're not even being contested on a lot of these threes and don't have the shooting. So that's even worse, in my opinion, of an indictment on the front office, that they can't even get shooters that can hit wide open practice shots, basically, versus shooters that can even hit tough threes. You don't even need that. You just need someone who can knock down an open three when these guys get them for it.
You know what's funny about that? Do you remember when the Blazers got swept in 2018? Do you remember the narrative was they were able to trap Dame and the Blazers weren't able to make it pay because Al-Farouq Aminu wasn't a good enough three-point shooter? Okay. But Al-Farouq Aminu in that series made 13 threes in 4 games, over 3 a game, and shot 43.3% from 3.
Yeah.
The argument then became, oh, well, defenses don't guard him tightly enough, so what do you expect? Like, he doesn't demand enough respect. Doesn't matter that he shot 43%, made over 3 threes a game. Like,
right.
People viewed Al-Farouq Aminu as like a detrimental three-point shooter in a series where he shot 43% from 3 and made over 3 threes a game. And if you look at his three-point percentage, his years in Portland, man, he was, let's see here, 36%, 33%, 37%, 34%. That would be amazing to have a defensive player like that could hit threes like that. I guess that's too naughty, but people act like his three-point shooting was killing the team. Was killing the team. It was kind of the same thing with Harkless. Harkless was more up and down, but Harkless, his years in Portland, okay? First year shot 28%. Year after that shot 35%. Year after that shot 41.5%. And then the year after that shot 27%. But he had a couple, 35%, 41% year. He didn't shoot many, though. That's the problem, is a lot of these Blazers players shoot a ton. And the narrative back then was, oh, these guys shooting is so bad. It ruins the offense. Well, what about now? What are those people saying now? It's just funny to me how we were spoiled by Dame and CJ. And to a lesser extent, like, we're spoiled by Ant as well. Like, having these guys that can make all these threes, where it was like Maurice Harkless and Al-Farouq Aminu seemed like horrible three-point shooters. But if we get the Maurice Harkless in year 2 or year 3 as a Blazer and Al-Farouq Aminu, that shooting would be an upgrade over what we have right now. It's swung so far the other way. Too far the other way. Way too far the other way. So.
And to come full circle on this, if the sacrifice was shooting for defense, quite frankly, the defense has not been good enough.
Yeah.
If we're talking about a top 10 defense right now and a middle of the pack offense, we're probably a playoff team, right?
Yeah.
And so the problem is you sacrifice this shooting to bring in all these guys to have this defensive identity, this tough-minded team, and the defense, quite frankly, has not been good enough. It just hasn't. Yeah. And so got a question. I mean, they're gonna have the ultimate excuse story, and that's good. They're gonna say this Chauncey situation ruined what their defensive
It's not making a mistake.
thing. No, I know. I'm just saying, like, Chauncey would have had this team playing better. He was on the come up. He finally had a year where he could coach and not tank, all that crap. And so that's what they're going to blame, just so they don't get responsibility. But
so soft.
It's an issue to where you created this whole team based on a defensive identity, and your defense sucks. Now, they played okay tonight, but for the most part, your defense has sucked. And it has not been good enough to justify not having offensive players in your rotation and on your roster. And so you have to question the philosophy of building a team of defenders with non-shooters and then having no defense, and then you're stuck in a situation where no one can hit threes.
Yep. Yeah, you shouldn't have to sacrifice one or the other. And right now they've been sacrificing both. That's the problem. Like, it's not really showing up either from beyond the 3-point arc or defensively. So they need to address that at the trade deadline. I do not want Chris Murray in the rotation after this trade deadline.
Well, hopefully it's a king.
Yeah. Well, like, when healthy, okay, I don't want Blake Wesley in the rotation. I know he has a little cult following now because he's a fun player, plays really hard, cool guy. Okay, he's a third-string point guard. But, like, there's another guy you brought in that can't shoot. You know, that's the theme. That's the problem. I don't want Blake Wesley in the rotation. If you have enough shooting, Matisse Thybulle is, like, your ninth man is fine for forcing turnovers and causing havoc defensively. But he can't be, like, your number 2 shooter off the bench behind Jeremy Grant. Okay. Like, Sidi Sissoko, you know, he's only playing minutes because they're hurt. Okay. But, like, obviously he shouldn't be playing. They need to replace Chris Murray's role and maybe even Matisse Thybulle's role with guys that don't hurt you defensively, but are legitimate floor spacers and 3-point shooting threats. And then you hope that Tumani can figure it out from 3. But here's the thing. Like, if Tumani's having some of these games where he's struggling to defend and he's not making threes and defenses aren't respecting it, and you have somebody that comes off the bench that can knock down threes and isn't Tumani defensively but gets hot from 3, then you feel comfortable finishing the game with them in the lineup, right? Like, you know, if you had an Isaiah Joe, for example, and you wanted to go small with Sharp at the 3 and Tumani's not having the biggest defensive impact, like he's had some games this year where he struggled, and you have Isaiah Joe get hot from 3, you finish with Isaiah Joe instead, and you play a little small. Or you finish with an Aaron Wiggins instead. But they don't have those options. It's Chris Murray. Like, Chris Murray makes 2 threes in a game, and it feels like a miracle. He's a 25% 3-point shooter. So, Chris Murray's role needs to be replaced. Just flat out, simple. His role needs to be replaced. And honestly, Thybulle's role probably needs to be replaced. Like, you need more shooting off the bench if you're going to take this many threes. And, I mean, maybe you play Thybulle and hope that he shoots 37, 38%, but I don't really trust that. And then you hope you get healthy. You just have some guys in the starting lineup like Drew and Tumani's 3-point shooters aren't like solidly 38, 39% guys. So that's why you need shooters off the bench. You got Grant. Got to find some others. Scoot, hopefully he takes another step forward once he's healthy. If you had a couple other shooters with them, maybe you're an average 3-point shooting team and things look completely different.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Also, here's the thing with Matisse. Comment in chat. He's been over 40% the last 2 seasons. You're counting a season where he played 4 games, bro. Come on, Matt. He played 15 last season. So you're talking about a 19-game stretch where he shot above 40% from 3. I'm going to trust the other 332 games he played before then to evaluate his 3-point shooting, because that's like 15 times the sample size. It's bad statistical analysis to just disregard 300 and, you know, however many games that was, 332 games, disregard that and just focus on, oh, the last 19, though, he shot above 40%. He's a true shooter. That's the type of mistake the Portland Trailblazers would make and then end up with somebody that shoots 33% from 3. You don't believe in people improving? I believe in people improving, but you're not going to see improvement that you can trust and is validated off a 19-game sample compared to 330 games before that. It's a small sample size. Like, you're talking about if he just misses a couple more threes, it drastically changes the percentage because it's a small sample size. So how can you judge if he's truly improved based off that? That's just flawed statistical analysis. You can see a trend over the years he's played. Okay, the last time he played more than 15 games in a season, he was 34.6% from three.
I mean, I hope he has improved from three. It'd be awesome if he has, but unfortunately, he hasn't been
you can't tell
consistently in the lineup either.
Yeah, you can't tell based off 19 game sample. The last time he played legitimate games in a season, he shot 34.6% from three. That's below average. So, like, that's the problem is we have these guys where it's like, hopefully they can shoot well enough. Hopefully this 19-game sample shows that Matisse Thybulle's ready to be a 40% three-point shooter. That's the problem. Hopefully Donovan Klingen's workouts are real because he shot the ball really well in workouts. So did Yong Hansen. Like, just go find somebody you know is going to make threes, man. Go find somebody you know who's going to make threes. Matisse Thybulle only shoots completely wide open threes. Stationary. You're sitting here like he shot 37% as a Blazer. Okay, he's 34% for his career. So maybe in the best world, he's 37% and barely above average on stationary wide open threes. Where defenses, a lot of times, don't really treat him like a floor spacer. They'll sag off of him to disrupt the paint. Like, get guys that space the floor, legitimately space the floor. Imagine if Scoot shot 40% from three for 19 games. He freaking did. Don't have to imagine it. Don't have to imagine it. But even I'm not sitting here saying Scoot's a great three-point shooter. I'm not going to use BS statistical analysis. Nice try, Thomas Saransky. Your gotcha comment failed, bro. Good try. Good attempt.
Shout out to Mubsy for a member message. Says, you notice how when Matisse plays D, he's comfortable to chase people from behind and chasing after screens. Sucks you can't shoot.
Yeah, he's.
I mean, he's become a better shooter than he was. You got to.
He's better than he was, but he's not like a legitimate three-point shooting, like floor spacing threat. Thomas Saransky's still a 33% shooter though. Scoot was a 34% shooter for his career. But even the thing with Scoot, man, is like he improved year one to year two. Can't say that about Sharp. Sharp has declined every single year. So the hope is with Scoot that he can continue to improve. But if he doesn't continue to improve and he shoots 33%, I'm not going to take a 8-game sample where he shoots well and say, see, he's a really good shooter. It's not true. I don't think you can accurately judge where Scoot's at as a shooter because he did improve from year one to year two. So if he keeps improving, he might be good this year, but we don't know. He hasn't played. We got a lot of people playing right now that we know can't get it done from three. So I don't know if we can rely on Scoot yet to be a legitimate three-point shooter. If he continues his progression from last year, we can, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Muvsy put Trevin in his place. Love it. So Thybulle shooting 100% on pull-up threes this season, by the way. One attempt. So, anyway, if you guys leave the stream with anything, it's okay to ask for more shooting from Joe Cronin.
And now we go on a back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Is it Detroit and Toronto? Or is it Cleveland? I know we played those three on the...
Oh, we're playing Muvsy's Toronto Raptors soon, huh? All right, yeah, the Blazers play Toronto on Tuesday.
Toronto Tuesday. And there's
That's
a Detroit
4:30
Wednesday.
p.m. start time. That stream might be a little bit late because I should have Rec League for the first time in like a month. And I'm going to take advantage of it. So, if that stream starts like 30 minutes late, 40 minutes late, apologies. I'll also have it ready to go once I'm back. And we'll break down that game. And Cleveland, second out of back-to-back. So which game would you play Rob Williams in? I guess next game, because who knows if Klingen's back, and then you hope Klingen's back by Wednesday?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't think it really matters.
We did have the 2 games added for not making the NBA Cup bracket. It's New Orleans and Golden State. So we play Golden State well, and New Orleans sucks.
Yeah, I think it's stupid how we play a team that was in our group, though. They could make it so you
it was
didn't
one of
have
the
that.
West teams we only play 3 times. So
Yeah, I know.
I think that's why. And then so we got this. It's basically a 5-game road trip. Toronto, Cleveland, Detroit, Memphis. It's weird because Memphis is on the 7th, and then the last game of the trip is New Orleans on the 11th. So do they fly home and then go back out on the road for a 1-game road trip to New Orleans?
I don't know.
Or do they just like hang out? Because Memphis is super close to New Orleans, but it's 3 off days in between those games. So do they just like go party in downtown?
I'm guessing they probably come home.
Yeah, I don't know. Or they just practice on the road. Anyway, like this 4-game trip, I think is, I don't know. I feel like they find a way to steal one of these games. That's just kind of the nature of this team. I think they find a way to steal either the Toronto or Cleveland game. Oh, it's only a 3-game trip. I think they can. I mean, they can beat Memphis. They can beat New Orleans, but Memphis is tied for them record-wise. So, I think you need to get at least 2 wins on this trip. That would put you at 11 and 15. You're still only 4 games below 500. You can't lose touch with. No, you'd be 5 games under 500. You'd be 10 and 15 if they win 2 out of the 5 games on this trip. The first 3 are really tough. Would be nice to have a winning trip, but I mean, they haven't really strung together wins at all since their 3-game winning streak earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just look at this. They have not won back-to-back games since October. So this stretch, I mean, they're what, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 and 10.
Yeah, it hasn't been good.
There's a lot of single-digit losses there, but you're just not finding a way to get the job done. So, need to turn it around quick. I mean, I could see them losing 4 out of 5 on this trip and come back 9 and 16, and at that point, you're really digging a big hole for yourself. So, I feel like this season's starting to become like just waiting for the trade deadline, which I hate, but with their lack of shooting, like, I guess we're waiting for Scoot to get back. We're waiting for players to get healthy and see what that looks like. But it's just a really rough stretch having all these injuries and tough schedule, and team can't make threes. And
Waiting for a trade deadline with Joe Cronin as your GM. Good luck with that.
And then I'll be waiting for free agency, and then I'll be waiting for the next trade deadline, or waiting for Tom Dundon to take over. Yeah. Anyway, hopefully we can get some reinforcements soon. I don't think Drew's going to play soon. Did you hear the comments on him?
Yeah. Didn't sound promising.
Yeah. Like, I think he might miss this whole road trip. Scoot might miss this whole road trip. Who knows when Sharp's able to play heavy minutes again. And then if he does play heavy minutes again, who knows until he's back on another minutes restriction because that dude can't stay healthy. Anyway, we got to start turning around. Got to start shooting the 3-ball better. Anything else, Eric?
Thanks, everyone, for watching. Hope to see you guys on those Tuesday, Wednesday streams, and have a good couple days until then.
Yep, boys take on the Raptors on Tuesday. I know Mubsy's super excited for that. That's his team. Hopefully we can upset them because they've been playing really good basketball so far this year. Now I'm back off vacation and all that. I'm planning on getting event nights back on track because we went off track there, especially with this team losing so many freaking games. So Tuesday is a call-in night. So we'll open up the phone lines for anybody that wants to
call in.
Yeah, we'll see. Mubsy should call in and give his thoughts because he's a Raptors fan. So gonna make sure Mubsy calls in. And then Friday the 5th, will you be ready with your first big board? Maybe a lottery big board.
Sure.
All right. Start talking draft. Anyway, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Shout out Sleeper. Use code Uprise. Free $20 entry, no deposit required. And we'll catch you on Tuesday. Have a good rest of your Sunday night. And December is here, which is kind of crazy. Blazers lose. They fight hard against OKC, but still just not enough shooting down the stretch. Deni Avdija continues to play like a legitimate star. Really impressed with his game today. I mean, at this rate, he's going to be an all-star unless he has a massive drop-off. Even if the Blazers are below 500, I don't see how you can keep out a dude averaging his numbers out of the all-star game. Right around 26 points per game, shade under 7 rebounds, shade under 6 assists, 26, 7, and 6, man. Nice to have a star at least. Blazers need to find some shooting at some point. Anyway, we're out of here. Have a good rest of your night. See you guys on Tuesday. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!